I shall. Let's keep quiet.
So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years.
Hey. Doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war? I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded. I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will. About him going off to war. He was set on it. My parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, you only get the one. Me? I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field. Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale, you don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know. If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it. He asked me to trust him the day he left. Said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path. And he deserved that. He deserved that trust from me. Raid Saris is a long way to walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey. Even knowing how it ended. Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on, then. I still owe you one.
Let's see what lies this way.
Indeed.
I can't see much, but I hear a noise like a pig choking on wet feed. So, I guess Durrance is breathing at least.
Look at the size of this place.
Look at that. A city to put all others to shame. And long lost.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. Missed most of it.
We light our own path now, Watcher.
They shall... Following your lead.
Huh?
Attack! Easy now. Let's see what we found.
working!
Tell me.
I'm here. It's not working!
Hey.
It's not working!
Brave.
Hey.
Onward!
I'm ready.
Let's see what lies this way.
Of course.
Your very past is a mystery. You bury it deep, reinventing yourself with each new path. You unravel a thread, Watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. And following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning. A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them? A song the world knows and tires of. The droning chorus repeated again and again. Better the improvised melody, the unfolding chant. The listeners sit rapt, and just when they think they have the tune, it changes again. Even the gods require fresh mysteries. No end, Watcher. That is the purpose. None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery. That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Indeed.
Your very past is a mystery. You bury it deep. You unravel a thread, Watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. In a way. But something must be done, and hurling them from the machinery of other schemes is the truest course of action. No end, Watcher. That is the purpose. None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Let's see what lies this way.
Light flame and sound. We'll keep to ourselves. What? Free. Free. Ooh, Lichla.
Yes?
This isn't working! Yes? Stand still!
Can't get a good shot of them.
Don't even slow it down!
Yes? It's not working!
Don't even slow it down!
Following your
job.
Roll attack!
Hey. Hey.
Slow and silent.
Of course.
Eyes open.
I'm here.
Hey.
Ready, Watcher. I'm ready. I'm ready. I go. I'm
Hey.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen? I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was. Oceanus. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here? We are in a sanctum holy to Utica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me. It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it. They are monuments to Udica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete. That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build. The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound. What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked. Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things. We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them. How did you find it? Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason. Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect. What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own? You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
Well, they made cake. And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased. You have devoted yourself to studying the work of my people. Why?
I thought your people had much to teach us. That we too could create great machines, improve our ships, make an empire as vast and impressive as yours ever was, built upon your secrets.
And did you ever consider that these were things you were never meant to understand? That their comprehension is beyond you? You are living in the time of my people, Amawa. You owe them more than you will ever comprehend, and so it shall ever be. Greater civilizations than yours have attempted to reclaim what we buried. The greater their successes, the worse their fates in the end. I have seen to it. You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Yet the other builders were slain, 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
Whatever desire I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. I understand your Duke's bells gave you a mission. Yet you disobeyed. Something you already have a reputation for. They will know, of course. If it had been for a worthy cause, they might have forgiven you. But I don't see them pursuing animancy after seeing what it's done here. They trusted you, and you disappointed, as you always have. And you will again be disowned. You are far from home, dwarf.
I knew my hunt would send me a long way from Masuk. It was a challenge I was glad to undertake for my village.
A journey, then? It must be of some import to take you so far and to last so long.
Anything worth doing comes at great cost.
So it was worth it, then, to tell a dying beast of things it neither understood nor had memory of. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives. I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago. You think your abilities only flow in one direction. That isn't how it works, I'm afraid. Not for me. For all that you saw of my soul in the sanitarium, I saw as much of yours. I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it. The spread of our faith ended many such atrocities. I do what I must to ensure it continues to do so. The heart of this country has skipped a beat. Nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Tolosis into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls. That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark. And replaced it with one far worse. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust. It is the least of all possible costs. Are you so dense as to think a faithless world would not be ridden with calamity? All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way. You have not thought this through. There is no leaving this place for you. I allowed it once, but you have made it all too clear what a mistake my mercy was. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid. Roak 10!
I'm ready. Tell me.
Lavaru beyond. And roar! With Ixie.
Down one!
Moen Ixie.
Mohen.
Oh, thank. Wood and roar! Lava root. Beyond sea.
Laval, beyond Siegfried.
Uligna.
Yes? Following your lead.
Point the way. That's a good shot.
Your turn!
Namaru beyond sea. Moed Ixi. Namaru beyond your by the flame.
Yes?
Stand still. Anna! Need a fighting hand here! You can trust me.
Right away. Following your orders. Following your lead.
Consumed by the flame.
Raise down. Following your lead.
Back to the wheel.
Yes. Yes.
Step.
Brave thou Philogeles. Your tale ends here.
Step.
Of course. Brave thou Philogeles. Yes. Yes. Your tale ends here. Fight on, my
Friends. Step. Still.
brave thou Philogeles. Your tail ends here. Let's end this. Following your On your word.
We're one fewer. Stand still.
Brave thou Philophili. Your tale ends here! For Takor!
Beyond sea.
Yes?
Lava beyond sea.
Following your lead. Your tail ends here!
Stand still. Stand. We're down. Blast!
Following your lead.
Rock 10.
Brave thou Philophili. All those lifetimes spent to preserve a single vital secret. I would expect a man to reconsider his choices after the first 500 years.
That's the servant down, and the mistress still to go. A good start, worthy of being built upon.
After journeying for lifetimes, I can't imagine his failure, knowing it was all for nothing.
In his own way, Theos must have truly believed he was caring for the people of Aeora, protecting them from themselves. A shame his soul won't have a chance to reflect on his errors before it enters the wheel.
He was good at serving his god, I give him that. He should have picked a better one.
To apply the teachings of Durance would more immediately satisfy the cravings in my bones. But this is the stronger lesson, for his soul is already marked by his own hand.
Indeed.
Hey. Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him? Not many can say that these days. Not in this country where they think the gods have abandoned them. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that? Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place. So folks could get back to believing what they used to. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
Que? So much for Theos, then. Now you have a chance to set things right, back to the proper order of things. It will take the Deerwood generations to recover, but at least these souls will find their way back to the wheel, as it should be.
Following your lead, we've come to the end of it, my friend. It has been an honor to walk this road with you, and I will regret our parting.
Point the way. Never thought I'd see something like this in my travels. Lends a little perspective, doesn't it?
The end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were afield in need of a flame's cleansing. Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of durance nor of honor. But with that trial's end, a new one begins, a God's trial, and I will stand in judgment without mercy.
Indeed.
You know something of quiet servitude, Watcher. Groveling and simpering before the gods whose aid you need, so that when they finally raise you to a place of power, you can seize what you desire. You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hadrat House, those pompous deer wooden zealots, the wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in response. And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you? The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron. Finish the work Theos began. Strengthen Woodica with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored. You say that now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you do.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun in Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the souls diverted by Theos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollow-born children woke to the cries of their infants, and looked into their eyes to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren, or even Aethys for their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of Hollowborn had died during Wide One's legacy, many by their parents' own hands. For those children, there would be no homecoming. Yet the last Hollow birth was in the past now, and those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins. Many felt they saw Helia's hand in it, and the year would be remembered as the year of Helia's splendor. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But once the dozens had regrouped in the wake of the riots, they quickly put an end to the criminal activity. They patrolled the streets in droves and administered their brand of law on any perceived offenders. This was not the erratic justice of the mob, however. The dozens had taken to heart the strengths of their adversaries, the Knights of the Crucible, and emerged as a far more organized, disciplined force. With the waning strength of the other Defiance Bay powers, the leadership of the dozens took the opportunity to establish its own group as the dominant peacekeeping force in the city. The dozens would soon find themselves overwhelmed by the problems of a leaderless metropolis. But they found an uneasy new partner in the surviving forces of the Crucible Knights, who understood the city's infrastructure and were able to keep the worst of its problems under control. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodens took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every Thane and Earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodinians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. Palagina had gone against the Duke's Bell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Deerwooden market. With the Deerwood's people still weakened by Widewind's legacy, the Valian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Valian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went. Haravius took his leave of the party and, after his first bath in years, returned to his nomadic lifestyle. With his homesickness expunged, he found renewed joy and tranquility in his wandering survey of the wilderness. For the first time in his life, he ventured beyond sight of the mountains of Glonfath. During his travels, he penned numerous journals and sketches detailing his travels through frozen tundra, searing desert, and tropical forests. Wherever he went, Haravius left behind stories of the Autumn Druid, a temperamental, one-eyed wise man of the forest, known to bring food to lost travelers and unusual advice to anyone willing to ask him a question. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Through a number of quiet inquiries, he soon found his way into the underground organization of Aethasians known as the Night Market. Ironically, in learning that the gods had been fabricated, Adair found his faith in Aethus renewed, and that his god was neither alive nor truly a god had become irrelevant. He rose quickly through the ranks of the night market for his optimism and for his bold leadership, his ultimate goal to make the Dyrwood a place that would welcome followers of the Shining God once again. When the dust settled in sun and shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grandmaster had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With both their aims fulfilled, Kana Rua bid the Watcher farewell and sailed back to his beloved Rawatai. There, he reported on his findings to the Lore College. Kana spoke of the Engwithan people, describing both their vile experiments and their inspiring accomplishments. He spoke too of the destruction of the tablet by the Leaden Key, and the group's efforts to erase the Engwithan legacy from the world. Both inspiration and cautionary tales, he said, could be found in the world beyond Rawatai's borders. Kana urged his people to continue to pursue knowledge abroad, so that the lessons found there might benefit Tekoa. Kana's inability to prove his theory of Engwithan influence diminished his academic standing, but his passion drew much interest from those less concerned with degrees. Kana swiftly became an influential figure in the move toward a more collaborative expansion on the northern continent. In his personal life, he came to enjoy the reputation of an affable eccentric, willing to share grand and impossible secrets, along with a drink and a song. Durrance used Magrin's strength only until Theos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. Sagani experienced the 4 months of her journey back to Masuk in vivid colors. She strove to memorize every moment of her final trip through the Dyrwood, Glonfoth, the Valian Republics, and beyond, preparing to tell her village of what she had seen on her long journey. All of Masuk shared in her triumph, and she felt her pride and elation magnified by the joy of her village. Never again did she doubt the value of her sacrifices. After decades as a long hunter, Sagani finally became one of Masuk's most respected elders. She guided her community with wise counsel, and a generation after she finally passed, another huntress journeyed into the world to find her soul. For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.